G'day guys, welcome back to the Boxing Deep Dive channel, and in this episode we're going to do something a little bit different and go back and cover the top 5 controversies of all time that involved Australian boxers. Now I'm sure there's been quite a few, and I'm sure some of you guys and girls out there will let me know some of the other ones that have happened, but these are the ones that happened probably, or the biggest controversy that have happened in my sort of 40 plus years of following boxing. And to say the controversies is a massive understatement. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start at number 5 and work our way back to number 1. I'll give a little bit of a perspective and opinion on what I think has happened and what maybe should have happened in these particular fights. And at the end of it, I'll give a bit of a brief explanation of why I've ranked them in the order that I have, because I'm sure some of you out there will probably rank others higher than others. But let's get started. I'm going to start with a very, very recent one. It was actually took place this year in 2023. It was Liam Wilson challenging Emanuel Navarrete for the WBO Super Featherweight title. It took place on February 3 of 2023, as I said, in Glendale, USA. Now, Navarrete was 36-1, Liam Wilson 11-1. You can see there, Liam Wilson, probably a pretty even fight up to this point, I will say, but Liam Wilson lands the left hook, rocks Navarrete, puts him down, maybe a little bit sus there. I think his hand or his glove might have been on the canvas when he got punched, but that's not the controversy what I'm talking about. The controversy is this. You can see there the mouth guard drops out of the mouth of Navarrete mid-count. Now, you're supposed to, of course, get the count up to 8. The referee will wipe your gloves and let you go again. You can see there the referee picks it up, tries to put the mouth guard in, or does put the mouth guard back in to Navarrete. He takes it back out because it's upside down. More seconds pass off the clock. Now, I think from memory, it was 28 seconds from the time that Navarrete hit the deck to when he got up. Now, you can see here Liam Wilson does his best to finish Navarrete off, but the fact he had 28 seconds to recover instead of the usual 8, probably no surprise that he was able to survive the round. You can see there he did survive that round 5 and or 4, I think it was, and ended up stopping Liam Wilson in the 9th round. But the big controversy, of course, was the fact that Liam Wilson robbed of an opportunity to get Navarrete out of there. Look, there has been a lot of vitriol, especially from Australian fight fans, towards maybe the referee in how he handled it. He gave Navarrete plenty of time and everything else. But at the end of the day, I don't blame the referee at all. He did what the rules told him he had to do. The rules state that the mouthguard has to be put back in. Yes, he put it in upside down, but in the course of the fight, or the heat of the action, whatever you might want to call it, he's just picked it up and he's put it back in. Navarrete, being smart again, took the mouthguard out, turned it around. Of course, had a little bit of trouble putting it back in, as you would probably expect when your faculties aren't quite there. But put it in. But as I said, 28 seconds eclipsed on the clock and gave Navarrete every opportunity to gather his senses. And as I said, went on and stopped Liam Wilson in the 9th round. But that's not the point of it. The fact of the matter is that Liam Wilson was clearly robbed of an opportunity to win that fight. Now, in my opinion, an easy way to get around this would have been is to change the rules and say that if your mouthguard comes out, whether it be in that situation there or in an exchange or whatever might cause your mouthguard to fall out, then on the fighter, that is tough luck. You've got to wait to the end of the round to put it back in, or to wash it and put it back in. If it happens at any time during the round, well, that's just stiff. So in that instance there, what would have happened is that the mouthguard fell out. The referee would not have had to have picked it up or tried to put it back in. Navarrete, of course, wouldn't have had an opportunity to turn it upside down and do whatever else he was doing. So that wouldn't have come into it. The referee just would have waved box after 8 seconds, and then who knows what might have happened. But just a really, really bad way for Wilson to lose out on his opportunity. I know they're talking about rematches and everything else, but history shows sometimes that if you surprise a fighter of Navarrete's capabilities and he's standing in the sport, the odds are it's very rare to beat them in a rematch because they come a little bit better prepared the next time around. But really felt for Liam Wilson in that one. As I said, who knows whether he would have got the job done or not, but the fact is that his opportunity to get Navarrete out of there was taken away, with Navarrete having an extra 20 seconds to get his faculties back, survive the round. And then to his credit, look, he went on and stopped Wilson in the 9th round. That's what true champions do. But, yeah, just a very, very unfortunate situation for Liam Wilson. So let's hope he gets another crack at it. Number 4 for me is Joshua Franco and Andrew Maloney, number 2. So this took place on November 14th, 2020 in Las Vegas, in USA, of course, in the bubble for the WBA Super Flyweight title. This was the rematch. Joshua Franco had beaten Andrew Maloney before this to take the title. Franco was 17-1-2. Andrew Maloney was 21-1. Now, the big controversy of this fight was that it was ruled a no contest after the second round. You can see there the doctor is ruling that Franco is unfit to continue. Andrew Maloney celebrates because he thinks he's got his title back. Franco's not really sure what to make of it. Now the penny is dropped for Andrew Maloney that his corner aren't celebrating either because they know something's amiss. And now he's saying, well, hang on, what is going on? So what's happened here, you can see the referee and judges there. That is the punch right there that caused the injury. Now what's happened here is the referee actually called that it was a headbutt. The problem is these officials at ringside accessing the video footage, it's not usually available. In Nevada it is now. So they've utilized the technology available to them. The problem is they can't find the headbutt. They spent over 30 minutes trying to search for the phantom headbutt, could not find it. But what happens sometimes in boxing, common sense doesn't prevail, and they declare it a no contest anyway, even though that to this day, there is no actual footage of the heads of Andrew Maloney, and you can see the lip. We don't need to be a lip reader to know what's going on there. But to this day, there's been no footage brought to light that shows Andrew Maloney and Joshua Franco hitting heads on that spot at that time of the round to produce that injury. All we can see is what you saw there in the video is the punch landing to the right eye, causing the injury. But alas, no joy for Andrew Maloney, who got the no contest second round, which would have been really hard to take. Now, you'll see in the video there was some talk that, there was the thumb and everything else maybe involved. That's not Andrew Maloney's problem or his fault. That is part of the punch. It's just unfortunate if it did happen, there was a little bit of a thumb in there. That's not Andrew Maloney's problem. The fact of the matter was it was a punch that caused the injury. And as I said, the officials spent almost 30 minutes or over 30 minutes searching for the phantom headbutt, could not find it, ruled it a no contest. And to Joshua Franco's credit, I will say, they did fight a third time after this and he won a comprehensive decision. So credit to him. But in this particular instance here, this was taken away from Andrew Maloney. It wasn't a dodgy decision. It wasn't a long count. It wasn't anything like that. It was pure and simple an injustice as far as the officials went because they had full access to the video. You don't get that in a lot of fights around the world, but it is in Las Vegas. They're able to use it. And what's disappointing about this one is they had the ability to use it. They did use it, and they still came up with the wrong decision. And to spend almost 30 minutes looking for footage that doesn't exist and still calling it a no contest, I don't know the end game of what they were looking for. But at the end of the day, they've robbed Andrew Maloney of regaining his title, and who knows what might have happened after that. And the TV presenters or broadcasters had that footage within a minute of the fight being stopped, replayed it over and over and over again. We all could see what's going on, but unfortunately, and for some bizarre reason, the officials that actually were in charge of the event could not see it. So very, very disappointing for Andrew Maloney. He did get another opportunity earlier this year against Nakatani. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for him. But in that particular, we're not worrying about those fights or the Franco third fight. We're worrying about this fight. And for me, it's the number 4 biggest controversy ever in Australian boxing. That WBA belt should have been around Andrew Maloney's waist, and it wasn't. Number 3 for me is the first Jeff Finnick Azuma Nelson fight. Now, this fight took place on June 28th, 1991 in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Mirage. It was on the undercard of the second Mike Tyson Razor Ruddock fight for the WBC Super Featherweight title. Nelson was 33-2, Jeff Finnick 25-0. Now, it ended up being a draw. Now, the official scorecards were Jerry Roth, 115, 113 for Jeff Fennick. Miguel Donate scored at 116, 112 for Azuma Nelson. And Dave Moretti had it 114, 114. Now, the controversy, as most fight fans out there know, is the fact that it was deemed a draw because Jeff Fennick seemed to have dominated this fight. Now, on my scorecard, I had it 9-3, maybe 8-4, but either way, it was a clear win for Jeff Fennick, and most people agree with this. Some might have had it maybe a little bit closer, but pretty much 99.9% of people that watch this fight agree that Jeff Fennick won this fight, and it should have been his 4th world title, and he wouldn't have been the first person to win world titles in 4 different divisions, but he would have been the first undefeated fighter of all time to win 4 belts. So it was just the controversy of all controversies, I suppose you would say, at the time. And I don't know how anyone could have had Azuma Nelson winning this fight. And you'll see the reaction of Jeff Fennick here in a second. Now, look, a little bit of a probably addition to this story is that at the start of this year, so 32 years later, the WBC did rule that Jeff Fennick won this fight, gave him a retrospective world title, but unfortunately, it hasn't been officially changed in the record books. Azuma Nelson still has that draw with Jeff Fennick. So unfortunately, it's great that the WBC recognised the travesty that happened in this fight and awarded Jeff Fennick his belt. But I'm not sure it would probably soothe all the wounds for Jeff Fennick. I'm sure it helped a little bit that it was recognised as a rip-off. But at the end of the day, he doesn't really have that 4th belt because the official records still state that it was a draw. But just an absolute travesty of the time. And to this day, we still talk about it. We actually had Jeff Fennick on, I think last year it was, covering this fight with his commentary and his opinions of it all. And still very, very bitter about this is Jeff Fennick. But for me, that is number 3 of all time. Let's go to number 2. And this one happened in Germany. It took place on August 16th, 2003 in Nuremberg, Germany. For the WB Super Middleweight title was Danny Green against Marcus Bayer. The first fight, Marcus Bayer 27-1, Danny Green 16-0. You can see there, that's the first round. A shock knockdown by Danny Green over the defending champion Marcus Bayer, and not to be outdone for that, he does it again in the second round and drops him for a second time. So after 2 rounds, Danny Green would have been up 20-16, so 4 points in front after 2 rounds. Went on to dominate the next 2 rounds. After this, the controversy happened in the 5th round, where a cut opened up over Marcus Bayer's eye. And the fight was subsequently stopped. You see there a little bit of argy-bargy in the show of strength there. But what happens here is that the referee, he and you'll see in a second here, says to Danny Green about, obviously throwing him to the ground, but also at this stage he rules that the cut was by a headbutt. You can see there Danny Green arguing mid-fight about the fact that he said it was a punch. And you'll see in another little second here, there is a clash of heads. And the unfortunate thing here, that was the headbutt there. Now, Danny Green claimed it was accidental. Now, I'm not saying it was or it wasn't. The fact of the matter is, though, it gave the referee an opportunity, and the officials, more importantly, and the opportunity to do what they did and disqualify Danny Green in the 5th round. Now, Bill Clancy, the referee, actually doesn't disqualify Danny Green. He takes away 2 points, which in itself I think is ridiculous as well. Probably should have been maybe a 1 point deduction, but to take away 2 points, and on top of that, though, it didn't even matter with that taking away the 2 points, because Danny Green still would have been in front because he'd won 4 rounds up until that point, plus the 10-8 rounds in 2 of those rounds. So technically, he would have been 6 points in front. So take away the 2 points with the referee took away, he still would have been well in front, and that's probably the most disappointing thing. He gave them the opportunity to disqualify him. Now that headbutt, as I said, whether it was deliberate or not, it looked deliberate enough that the officials pounced on it and took the opportunity to disqualify Danny Green. Now, I'm really disappointed with the referee in this aspect as well. Bill Clancy from the USA, I think he was bullied into what he did. I think, by rights, the deduction for the cut, warranted or not, that's open to opinion. But if it was, then maybe one, not two. But all that aside, what should have happened was have the point deductions. Go to Bayer could not continue. Go to the scorecards. Danny Green would have been still proclaimed the winner. Now, whether the Danny and his team would have got out of the arena in one piece that night remains to be seen. But the fact of the matter is that the referee didn't do his job by standing up and doing his job and saying to the officials, hey, you do what you do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm not going to disqualify Danny Green. I've done what I think is adequate penalty. Take the 2 points. Now it's up to the doctor to say whether he can continue or not, which the doctor said he couldn't. Now we go to the scorecards as per the WBC rules. So it was just a mess all round. But end of the day, unfortunately, the door was open ajar a little bit by what was perceived as a deliberate headbutt, and they booted it in. And end of the day, Danny Green left Germany without the WBC belt. Again, credit to Marcus Bayer. He gave Danny Green a rematch, whatever it was, a year or so later, and won a decisive decision over Danny Green. So you've got to give him credit for that. Just like Franco and Maloney. But what a monumental controversy it was for Australian boxing. Now let's get on to the number one controversy of all time. Now this one wasn't for a world title, but the reason it was the most controversial is one, probably because it involved Manny Pacquiao, probably one of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters of all time, against our own Nadal Skinny Hussein. It took place on October 14th, 2000 in Antipolo City, Philippines, for the WBC International Super Bantamweight title. Pacquiao was 29-2. Nadal Hussein was 19-0. Now you'll see here, this is where the controversy starts. An unbelievably hard jab by Skinny Hussein drops the great Manny Pacquiao. The controversy arises where Manny Pacquiao is down for a lot longer than 10 seconds. Referee Carlos Padilla gives him more than enough time to get his faculties together. You can see there he's trying to try every trick in the book to give him an extra few seconds. Nadal Hussein tries his best to finish the job. Unfortunately, he can't get it done. I think the bell rings shortly after. Does everything he can to get Manny out of there. And look, Manny showed some heart by hanging in there. But who knows what would have happened if the referee had waved, to fight again after 8 seconds. But the biggest controversy of all occurred after this fight. Now, actually, to backtrack a little bit, Manny Pacquiao stops Nadal Hussein in the 10th round by cut eye. That's the first step, or the second step of this controversy. The first one, of course, was a long count. The second one is here, where the referee Carlos Padilla stops the action, takes Nadal Hussein to see the Filipino doctor. Of course, we all know what's going to happen there. He stops the fight, and I'll rate Nadal Hussein, who would have been absolutely shattered at this point. I've seen worse cuts than that be allowed to continue, to be honest. You can see the cut it might be bad, but the blood is running down beside the eye. So I don't agree that it should have been stopped. But however, in the Philippines, the doctor's taken the opportunity to stop the fight. So I can understand the angst in the Hussein camp. But the third and biggest controversy involving this fight is a referee, Carlos Padilla, 23 years later, so this year, was interviewed and openly admitted to cheating in the fight. He said that he openly gave Manny Pacquiao a long count to give him time to recover. Then took the opportunity to encourage the doctor to stop the fight as well. And the biggest disappointment out of all this is that even after his admissions were caught on camera, it was an interview, the WBC, even though they were petitioned to do something about it, did not do anything or didn't sanction Carlos Padilla. He's a Hall of Fame referee, of course, for the WBC. Didn't sanction him at all. Didn't do anything about the result. It's Manny Pacquiao, of course. That's who we're talking about. So even though Nadal Hussein and a lot of supporters around the world really pushed for some action about this fight, nothing happened. I know Skinny and Manny actually appeared together online. There was maybe talk of an exhibition fight or whatever else, but whether they fight an exhibition or not, it would be great for a payday for Skinny Hussein. That would be great, but it doesn't change the result. And a little bit like the Navarrete-Wilson fight, it's not so, and the Maloney-Franco fight, it's not so much to say questioning the end result. It's the fact that Hussein missed his opportunity to finish Manny Pacquiao off. Now, a little bit like Wilson and Navarrete. Navarrete, credit to him, went on and won the fight like Pacquiao did here, regardless of the circumstances. But the fact that the referees, in incompetence, allowed the champion to retain his belt, and Wilson, and in this case Hussein, didn't get the opportunity to finish the fight. That is the biggest injustice for me, and something that these fighters have to live with for the rest of their lives. Hussein never won a world title again. Andrew Maloney had a crack, and who knows, maybe he'll get another crack. Liam Wilson might get another crack as well. But in this case here, Skinny Hussein never got an opportunity to fight again for the world title. And those three big things involved with this fight: the long count, the stopping of the fight with a cut that probably should have been able to continue, and then, of course, the referee openly admitting to corruption in this fight. It's just a pretty hard one to swallow, and I can just imagine how Skinny Hussein feels. The one thing I will say about this, and we did interview Hussein on this show, along with numerous other people interviewed him as well, is at least it's now been brought to light, the controversy. This is something that's been probably swept to the background for the last 20 years or 23 years. So at least it's been brought to light, and maybe that's a little bit of peace of mind for Skinny Hussein, the fact that everyone knows the drill, everyone knows the story, and whether he got the belt or not, at least everyone knows what really happened, and maybe he's a little bit of, maybe a world champion, or unofficial world champion anyway. But yeah, a little bit there for Skinny Hussein. Now, just to finish up on this video, just a little bit of reasoning behind why I had the order that I did. I just thought the Wilson-Navarrete fight, as controversial that it was probably just on the lower end of being controversial, because it's not the sort of thing that's just happened to Liam Wilson. It happens a lot of times in fights with long counts based on things like this, and that's why I said eliminate it by simply taking away the ability of, or the option of the referee to be able to put the mouth guard in, because he can manipulate it by the time he puts it in, and the fighter can manipulate it by the time it takes him to, whether it's upside down or back to front, whatever it might be. And then the corner can manipulate as well, by they can drop it in the ice bucket or take the time washing it. So many factors come into it. Eliminate it by just saying if it drops out during the round, then that's stiff. We fight on after 8 seconds. If you can't fight on after 8 seconds, well, you're out of there. So that's probably that one. I'll just go to the home screen here. The other one, I think, with Maloney and Franco. Look, the fact that it only went 2 rounds doesn't probably make it any less controversial, but it was a second round thing. Yes, it was controversial, but end of the day, the other 3 above it were, I think, just obviously a little bit more controversial. Finnick Nelson probably could have been number 1 or 2 if you think about it, but that was just a dodgy decision. So not so much controversy involved. It was just inept judges that didn't do their job. The controversy with the other 2, Green and Bayer and Hussein Pacquiao, these were 2 fighters that were 100% robbed of, I suppose you could put Maloney in that camp as well, just 100% robbed of their ability to win the world titles. And I would have maybe had even Green Bayer at number 1, but I've gone with Hussein Pacquiao just because of the fact of the status of Manny Pacquiao and the fact that we had 3 sort of controversies in one. The Green Bayer one, I still can't get my head around. I only watched the fight again the other day, and I still can't get my head around that Danny Green managed to lose that fight by disqualification after being so dominant. But it is what it is in foreign countries. And that's probably the one common denominator in all these firefights, are all fought overseas in their opponent's backyard. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know your opinion if you would have had the order a little bit differently, and any other controversies that I might have missed, and any other comments that you might have. But until next time, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Boxing Deep Dive.